Hello friends, wanna know about Swiss Army Knife UI library for Blazor? Then stay tuned. Hello friends, I'm S. Ravi Kumar and welcome to my new video. Today we are going to talk about the Swiss Army Knife UI library for your Blazor applications. I'm using this UI library since last 2 years with almost all of my Blazor applications. The best part is that this UI library is very versatile, has a lot of controls and lot of flexibilities. You will ask me, what is that library, Ravi? Tell me. So the name of the library is Blazorise. This library has 80 plus free and open source native Blazor UI controls. Not only that, it supports multiple CSS frameworks like Bootstrap, Bluma, and Design and Material. So whatever your need is, whatever kind of Blazor application you are going to develop, Blazorise will fit to all your needs. This video is first of my Blazorise series where I will be developing a full-fledged Blazor application using Blazorise UI. In this video, we will be talking about how to set up Blazorise in a Blazor application, set up the Bootstrap CSS and font awesome in the Blazor application using Blazorise framework. Apart from that, I will be giving you the flow and structure of the layout, header, footer, and other components of the Blazorise UI library. So without further ado, let's get into my Windows machine and let's get started using Blazorise in our Blazor application. So here I am on my Windows machine and I have opened the blazorise.com website. You can see here blazorise.com. This is the website of Blazorise Controls. It has all the necessary links like documentation and GitHub URL of the source code. I have opened the GitHub URL in the next tab. You can see here this is the source code of GitHub URL, and on the GitHub README you can see all the documentation about it, and it has the links for the demos of various samples like Bootstrap 4 demo, Bootstrap 5 demo, Material demo, Bluma demo, and Design demo, and Bootstrap demo for Blazor server. So for this video, we will be creating a new Blazorise application, a new Blazor application rather. I will open Visual Studio 2022, click on create a new project and select Blazor server application and click on next. I'll give the name as this project I have already created. This is Blazor DEX. Basically the full form is Blazor default example. So this is the default template of Blazor, and I will open this solution also just to show the difference between Blazorise and the default template once we implement Blazorise on the regular Blazor application. So here I will just rename this as Blazorise demo, and I will change this folder name here, Blazorise demo. Click on next. We will select the .NET 6, which is the long-term support version. We won't do any changes here, and we'll just click on create. So you can see here our Blazor application is ready. This is our Blazor application. Is sample like this is the default Blazor template. So if I run this application, I have selected the Blazorise demo. If I run this application, you will get the default Blazor application. You can see the output. So here it is. You can see this is like Blazorise demo. We have counter, we have web service example, and we have all these like links and everything. So this is our Blazor default Blazor template when we create a blank Blazor application. So this is how it looks. Now we will implement Blazorise into this application. So to implement Blazorise, we will follow along the documentation of Blazorise. For that, I will go on here on Blazorise website. I'll click on documentation, and in the documentation you can see here this is the getting started. On the very first page we have getting started, and on getting started we have quick start guide. So I just click on quick start guide and I will follow along the quick start examples which is given. That is this install. First of all I will install the Blazorise Bootstrap, and then I will install the Blazorise icons, that is font awesome icons, because Blazorise uses font awesome icons in to show the icons in the application. So we will install this. So for that, what I'll do, I don't like to use command line. I will use the NuGet package manager for that. So I'll go here. I will open the NuGet package manager, click on browse, and once I click on browse, I will click on Blazorise, and you can see here Blazorise is open. Let me minimize this for now. So you can see here like Blazorise Bootstrap. So I will just select Blazorise Bootstrap. I will install it. I'll accept the licensing terms, and it is installed. So you can see here now uninstall button is available. So now after that, what I will next install is Blazorise icons font awesome. So as per the documentation, I have to install this NuGet package also. So now we have installed both the NuGet packages. So you can see both the NuGet packages are installed here. So now I will close the NuGet package manager, and I will go into the demo again. So in the demo, it has mentioned that I'll have to change the index.html or host.chtml file and include the CSS and JS resource file. So now here is a caveat. The thing is that now in .NET 6, our host.chtml has changed in the Blazor server application. If you see here in the pages, we have host.chtml, but our host.chtml is like this. So we don't have anything mentioned here. The main thing is mentioned in this layout.chtml. So what we will do in this layout.chtml, we will change the CSS and everything as per the Blazorise documentation. So I will go back on the Blazorise documentation. I will copy this part. I will paste it here just above this, between this, because these two are like meta tags and everything. These are necessary. The links, the CSS links, which we need to replace, because we don't need this particular CSS for now. So we'll just replace this. We will be using everything of Blazorise. We won't be using any custom CSS in this demo, at least. So I have changed the CSS. Now what I'll do, I will add the JavaScript. So for that, this particular thing also, since we are not using the default CSS, we will remove this also. And I will copy paste this rest of the part like this here. And I'll paste it here and move this render body inside this div. The reason I moved this render body inside this div is because this div is basically it's the ID of this div is app, and this is kind of the root control or root application like div, which has everything. So that's why I have moved the render body inside this. So now I have done this change. After this, what we have to do is like we have to initialize the Blazorise services in our program.cs. So for that, I will open the program.cs, and on top of here, you can see I'll go again in the documentation, and before that, it's asking me to add the imports.razor, like update imports.razor with using Blazorise. So I'll do that also. I'll just copy this. I will open this imports.razor. So in Blazorise, in Blazor, imports.razor is kind of our global using. So I will just use it here. I'll save it, and now I'll go on program.cs, and in program.cs, it's asking me to add these 3 lines because these using will automatically come. So I'll copy this and I will paste it here. So after some time, it will give me this red squiggly. I'll just click on this bulb using Blazorise. So this is added. Then for this also using Blazorise Bootstrap, and for this using Blazorise icons font awesome icon. And this we are already, it's mentioned it's not used, that's why it's coming like this. So what we will do, the bulb will show again. Yeah, remove unnecessary using. So I'll just save it. And now if I run this application, you can see we have implemented Blazorise, But the thing is that now our whole application look and feel has gone kaput. So the reason behind this is that we have not set up the layouts and controls according to Blazorise. What happens that in our regular Blazor application, we have in our shared folder, if you go in this shared folder, we have this main layout which uses this layout component base, and inside this we have this HTML. So what happens in Blazorise, instead of this, we'll have to use the Blazorise Layout controls, and we'll have to set up the nav menu and everything. If you see here this nav menu is also nothing but just a plain simple HTML like HTML controls with simple like Blazor controls, like this nav link and all. So we will be changing all this code and we will be replacing this with Blazorise, and for that we will again go into the documentation in components. If you see here, this is the layout. So this layout is basically the component which handles overall layout of the page or of the application, as the documentation says that the layout is used to handling the overall layout of the page. But since Blazor is a single page architecture framework, so it is basically used to set up the layout of the whole application rather than just a single page. So we use, even in our regular Blazor application also, if you see here in main layout, we are using this layout component base, which basically sets up the whole layout of the application, which has the nav menu, the main content, and if you see the nav menu also, it has the layout of this menu and everything. So this layout component is basically inherited from this layout component base, and it is used to set up the whole layout of our application. But in some scenarios, when we have multiple pages in our application, for example, we have a login page which has a separate layout, or a register page which has a separate layout, we use different layout for those pages, but usually the layout is the one which is used for setting up the whole base UI of the application. So let's go through the documentation of the layout component. In the documentation, it says that it has three implementation. We have number one is the basic, which has like header, content and footer. Then the second one is with cider. So with cider means that with side navigation, and it has like cider, header and content. Then it has with cider with header on top, which is like this, where the header is on the top and cider is on the left and content is on the right. And then we can play around with this layout also. We can put a footer below this also, and we can do all these things. So these three, the basic with cider and cider with header on the top, these are the main, you can say, layout configuration which we can get. We can even remove the, as you can see in the basic, we have removed the cider also. So let's play around with this setup a bit, and let's set this up in our application. For this, we can also see how this is done in the Blazorise server demo. We can open the Blazorise server demo from here, from the code page. We can just right click here and we can open this. So if you see here in the Blazorise demo, we have this option here. We have the option to select the layout. Right now it is like fixed header. So fixed header is the one which is this one, side with header on the top. So this is kind of fixed header. You can see here we have fixed header. So if we minimize this, we have this fixed header. And another one is like if we select this fixed header and footer only. So if we click on this, you can see we just have header and this is our footer. And then after that we have the third option, which is cider with header on the top. So this is like this. If we click on this, you can see here that header is on the top and cider is below here, and we can minimize it like this. So let's first implement this one, that is the fixed header one, where we have this fixed header and this fixed left nav, and this left nav minimize and it comes all the way to the top. Let's implement this in our application. So to implement this layout, what we will do, we'll first go in this main layout.razor page. We'll remove this code and we will paste this pre-written code. I have already written this code based on the documentation. So if you see here, this is like layout. This is our base layout, and inside layout we have this layout header fixed. Then we have layout slider, and we have this nav menu, and then after that we have this layout which has this layout content and this body. This will implement the page code, the whatever page we will be opening, like be it the index page, be it the counters page, or be it the fetch data page. It will show us the body of that page, and this nav menu is our navigation control. So for now, let's just implement this thing in the header. For now we have just kept it as blank, so let's use this as blank, and let's Control S. We'll save this and let's run this and see how this thing changes our UI. So you can see here now our UI has been changed. You can see this is the left nav which is coming. It has the nav bar. If I click on this, this is our regular HTML nav implementation. If you see here, this is the regular HTML nav, and it has this implementation since it is using the toggler and everything. So it has this regular implementation where I click on this, this links appear, and when I click on any of the link, the counter page appear, but this doesn't retain what option I have selected. It automatically collapses everything because this is still not, still haven't implemented the slider menu using Blazorise controls. We are just still using the HTML control, so we'll have to update this also. But still you can see here that we can still go to the links and we can still go on the home page. Now in order to fix this particular issue, that is the left nav is not holding the selected values which we are selecting and it's not properly operating, let's implement this thing. Let's change the code of this nav bar also. So we'll go into the nav bar. This is our nav menu.razor. So we'll go into this nav menu.razor and we will remove all this code and replace it with this code which I have again pre-written based on the sample. And this code is basically setting up the nav menu or left nav of the page or of the application. So we'll replace it like this, and once we save it, it will say that rebuild and apply changes. When I click on this rebuild and apply changes, it will implement those changes and show us the output. So now you can see here that we have this menu. The difference is like we can now click on this and this menu can get minimized. Not only this, if we click on this counter, you can see that the counter value is selected, and if I click on this fetch data, the fetch data value is selected. So whatever menu option we have selected, these are being retained in the menu state is being retained. So all these things are controlled, and you can see here that we don't even have to write the code to set up the like this minimize or action availability of these menu options. So we don't have to write any code. This is automatically handled by this the control. So how this thing works, let me explain you. So what we are doing is we are using this bar control of Blazorise. So let's go into the documentation and open the bar control. So if you go here on the top, we have this bar control. So you can see here bar control. So the bar component is a responsive and versatile navigation bar that can be used as a top menu in the horizontal mode or as a sidebar in one of the 3 vertical modes. So this is the bar control which we are using to set up our nav bar. You can see here that this is top bar menu. So this is how the top bar can be set up, and this is how we can set up it as a sidebar. So what we have done is we have set this bar control as a sidebar menu. You can see here the option is like this breakpoint, navigation breakpoint, theme contrast, mode which is like vertical inline. Then we have collapsible mode which is small or hide. Small will show the small icons like this which is happening, and if we change this to hide, see the other option is hide. So if we change this to hide, it will completely hide the menu. So like this, if I click on this, now the menu is completely hidden, and you can see the header written here is coming like this because this header is just a text. So in order to fix this header, instead of using this just a text, we can use the bar, horizontal bar, to set up our header of the application also. I'll revert back this change. So if we go through the documentation of bar, we have this bar option, which is like, as I said, horizontal bar, vertical bar, and at the bottom we have all the properties explained. Like we have background, which sets the background color. We have breakpoint, defines the media breakpoint, that on which media how it will appear. Then we have collapsible mode, which is again hide or this thing small. And then we have mode, which can be, this is for vertical or for sidebar only usually, otherwise by default it is horizontal. Then we have navigation breakpoint, defines the media breakpoint on navigation, how the navigation is changes. Then theme contrast. So theme contrast basically change the contrast, that how it changes according to the theme. So it just contrast for light or dark theme. If I change this theme contrast here to instead of dark, we have like either none or we have light. So if I change it to light and save it, the color will change to white. If you see here, the color has been changed. It is now light color, it's a white color, and we have the contrast option here. And if we change it to none, what will happen, that it will again change back to like this. So it will not implement all the good looking features which was there. So light dark is for light dark theme, and then none will, that we'll have to set up everything all manually. So you can see that even the icon here, the hamburger icon, is also not appearing. So for that we need to implement either light or dark theme contrast. So we'll set it up for now. Let's set it back to dark. So you can see how we have implemented the sidebar in our application, and we have implemented this left nav menu as a sidebar using the bar control of Blazorise. Now you might be wondering that where is that header written, which we have written on the top bar, and I think that is being hidden in our implementation. So let's change that header also with the bar control. So this header, this layout header which is fixed, let's change this also with the bar control. So for that what we will do, just like nav menu, we will create another control or component here. We'll name it as top bar. So we'll rename this as top bar here. And call this top bar in our main layout. So if I call this top bar, it's still not working because we don't have any code in that top bar. That is the reason nothing is appearing. If you see here, just top bar is coming here when the menu is minimized. Right now it's not coming, but otherwise it's coming. Like here when the menu is minimized, you can see this bar AR is coming. So top bar is being hidden on the top of this menu. So we will set this up by implementing the horizontal bar control in our top bar. So to do that, what we will do, we'll go into the code once again, and we will change this top bar. We'll remove this code and we will paste this pre-written code here, which I have again paste on the demo code and the sample code of the documentation. And once we have done that, we'll see that the UI has changed now. It has this menu and everything. And if you minimize, you can see this Blazorise demo is appearing like this. So now why it is appearing like this is because we have implemented the theme, which is our third part of the sample application, that is this third layout, that is cider with header on the top. But there is some issue with the implementation. So I'm not able to implement this particular fixed thing because in the sample code this is done with the nesting of layouts, which I don't want to get into because that is some kind of a complex term. So for now what we will do, that we will implement this particular layout where we have this fixed header like this. We'll have this fixed header and the cider will appear like this on the top with the header and everything. So to implement this, what we will do, we'll go again into this Blazorise demo. We'll go in the main layout. So in main layout, we will remove this thing like header from here, and we'll move it inside this like this. And we will change this particular layout sider is like this. So what we'll do, we'll cut this thing and we'll put it like this. So once we do this, you can see here that it is appearing like this. So we have this whole left nav which is being collapsed, and we have this fixed header which is coming like this. Now if we want to implement footer here, what we have to do is just we have to, in the main layout itself, we'll have to go inside this. Since we have this layout header here, so we'll put the layout footer like this here, and for now we'll just write footer content, save it, and you can see here that this footer content is appearing here. So this is how we can implement Blazorise in our Blazor application. We can set up the layout, we can set up the header, and we can set up the left nav, and we can set up the footer. So in this video, you learned what is Blazorise, how to implement Blazorise in a Blazor application, how to set up the layouts of a Blazorise application, what is sidebar, what is horizontal top bar. In the next video of this series, we will be implementing themes in our Blazorise application using Blazorise theming support. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, then please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all your Blazor enthusiast friends. So see you soon in my next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.